Tank Davis just been released to the public. We know now, December 14th, Houston, Texas, he's going to be facing a very tough opponent in Lamont Roach. Can you tell us a little bit about the history between them two?
Oh man, they've been knowing each other from the amateurs, silver gloves, everything. They grew up actually together, you know. Roach and him back and forth battles and whatnot. It's like, you know what I'm saying, because Roach he come to fight. And I think it's a great fight. Everybody talking all that stuff about, oh, why Roach? Because he signed and took the fight, you know what I'm saying? And it's good.
Gervonta Davis completely dominated Lamont Roach without throwing a punch. Backing out of a fight with Gervon isn't just canceling a match. It's like locking yourself in a lion's den, knowing the danger but sealing your fate with no escape.
Would you consider you and Gervonta friends?
Friends? Probably.
Is it going to be hard to go in the ring and fight your friend?
I don't know.
Are you all going to be friends after? Either way it goes.
Who's making money?
But you guys are making each other bleed.
This wasn't just a cancel fight. It was Devon's golden opportunity to change the narrative. Lamont never got the chance to step into the ring, yet Gervon ensured he'd regret even thinking about pulling out. No punches were thrown, but the burns landed hard and left their mark.
I don't see why people like, oh, you whatever, smaller guy, woo-de-woo, blah, blah. I mean, like, to me personally, I'm not stunned. You know what I'm saying? They're going to keep saying that.
Let's break down how Lamont Roach ended up in this mess. Lamont probably figured canceling the fight would buy him some breathing room, maybe preserve his record or save him from a looming beatdown by Gant. After all, walking away from a clash with someone as dangerous as Gervonta Davis might seem like a smart move if you're worried about your reputation or future in the sport. But here's where Lamont made a massive miscalculation. He didn't just cancel a fight. He forfeited an opportunity to prove himself against one of the best in the game. Instead of earning sympathy or respect, his decision only fueled Gant's fire, turning him into a target of ridicule and regret.
More than that. Nah, he's strategic. He's setting guys up. He been boxing since a little kid, just like I've been boxing since a little kid. And you can tell, like, with the experience. Even with his last fight with Frank Martin, you can see Frank Martin was more so an amateur. Like, the experience he got is not.
Let's break down Gant's response. This wasn't some half-hearted rant or an impulsive angry tweet. Gant knows how to make an impact, and he's turned it into an art form. When Lamont canceled the fight, Davis didn't get mad. He put on a show, true to his style. Gant didn't sulk or take the high road. He went full savage. This wasn't just trash talk. It was an unrelenting roast that left Lamont completely exposed. When you're the guy who cancels on Gervonta Davis, there's no free pass. Instead, you become the centerpiece of a brutal spectacle, roasted in front of anyone and everyone who's paying attention. Gant made sure Lamont won't forget it.
Before I do it for myself, but I do it for the people with me. My whole family's from DC. My whole family, like my entire family.
Don't bring them. Don't bring them.
For what?
Don't bring them. I'm telling you,
they gonna celebrate with me. Yeah,
don't bring them.
It's gonna be a party on your floor.
I'm gonna let y'all know something. His father was up here shaking on the what's name. He was shaking on the
Pop. Oh.
If you thought you could back out of a fight with Gant and escape unscathed, you clearly underestimated his knack for turning any situation to his advantage. Gant's response wasn't just about calling Lamont out. It was about making his decision look like the most foolish move he could have made. Lamont thought he was dodging a bullet, only to have that same bullet come at him from another angle, straight from Gant's mouth, leaving no doubt who had the upper hand.
That everybody's talking about is Tank came out and said he was gonna retire. Is that really happening?
That's his decision.
Yeah.
That's his decision.
Tank and his team, they can't be both. They can't be Tank and be the opponent as well. You know what I mean? So they've said a lot of things, but the one thing that they haven't said is that they wanted to.
What's ironic about all of this is how Lamont thought he could sidestep the inevitable. Sure, maybe he feared what awaited him in the ring. Perhaps the sheer power of Gant's punches, which have been ending fights left and right. That's understandable. But in trying to avoid one problem, Lamont created an even bigger one for himself. He didn't just dodge a physical fight. He missed a mental battle he never saw coming. By backing out, Lamont handed Dant the perfect opportunity to humiliate him without even breaking a sweat. Gant didn't need the ring to prove his dominance. He let his words do the damage instead. And trust me, Dant made sure Lamont knew just how colossal a mistake he'd made.
First, we're going to get this fight here in New York. There are a lot of questions of why Lamont Roach, right? Let's not discredit him. He's a great fighter, a great chin, high IQ. But why Lamont Roach? That's the questions that all the fans are asking at the beginning.
Look, I think the reality is, I think those are fair questions. I mean, look, when you have fighters the caliber of Tank.
Let's dive into the aftermath of the cancellation. While Gervon stayed composed and focused on his career, Lamont was left scrambling to answer some uncomfortable questions. Fans weren't happy. They had poured their time, energy, and excitement into this fight, expecting fireworks, only to be met with a canceled match and a heap of disappointment. So, what does Gant do? He delivers a verbal beatdown that no one will forget anytime soon. If Lamont thought he could cancel the fight and quietly slip under the radar, he was dead wrong. Gant ensured that backing out wouldn't be just another forgettable moment. Instead, he turned it into a public spectacle, leaving Lamont to face the full weight of his decision.
What is Lamont going to learn March 1st inside that ring here at Barclays Center?
Bob and weave. Bob and weave. You got bob and weave.
He's in what?
You got bob and weave. Job, bob and...
Here's where it gets even better for Gervon. Not only did he roast Lamont publicly, but he made sure everyone knew exactly who the real winner was. Spoiler alert. It wasn't Lamont Roach. Gervon didn't even need the fight to claim victory. He won before the bell ever rang. By canceling, Lamont made himself look like the one running from a challenge. What Lamont thought would be his escape became his undoing. Gervon played the situation masterfully, leaving Lamont with no room to maneuver. It's one thing to cancel a fight and move on quietly, but it's another to be publicly dragged through the mud by the very opponent you backed out of facing. Gervon ensured this cancellation would sting for a long time.
Who wants to know what's next for the face of boxing, Gervonta Tank Davis? We gonna see. He's gonna let you know.
Lamont didn't just cancel a fight with Gervon, he handed him the perfect opportunity to prove who the real warrior was. By backing out, Lamont opened the door for Gervon to make sure everyone knew he wasn't man enough to face him. And when it came to handling the media, Gervon wasn't about to let this slide quietly. If you thought he'd accept Lamont's withdrawal without a word, you couldn't be more wrong. Gervon knows how to seize a moment and turn it into a spectacle. Lamont's cancellation became fuel for Gervon, who fed off the drama, tension, and disappointment of the fans. Instead of sulking, he used every interview and statement to hammer home one point. Lamont was the one who pulled out. No punches were needed. Gervon's words were the knockout blow. In this battle of words and perception, Gervon didn't just win. He left Lamont without a shred of dignity to cling to.
Get ready for 2 fights. But, yes, and after I beat him the second time, I probably would ask the WBA to let me go up to 140.
What's truly impressive is how Gervonta Davis turned this situation into a masterclass in media strategy, proving he's not just a powerhouse in the ring, but also a genius at playing the narrative game. Gervon didn't get emotional or petty. Instead, he responded with cold, calculated precision, like a chess master who always knows his next move. Lamont made the critical mistake of thinking that canceling the fight would earn him a free pass. Instead, Gervon turned that misstep into a public spectacle. Everyone now knows that facing Gervonta Davis isn't just about the physical fight. It's about your reputation too. The fans who had been eagerly anticipating this match didn't forget the cancellation, and they definitely didn't miss how Gervon handled it. He didn't let the drama simmer. He poured gasoline on the fire, making it even more explosive. The intrigue only grew, and the fans were hooked. Gervon is no underdog. He's the guy who makes others look like they're struggling to keep up. Lamont's cancellation didn't slow him down. It gave him a bigger platform to dominate the conversation. Lamont, on the other hand, went from a potential contender to a cautionary tale, a reminder of what happens when you back out of a fight with Gervonta Davis. Gervonta doesn't just win in the ring, he wins outside of it too. Lamont's missed opportunity became Gervonta's stage, and he made sure the story was far from over. It was just beginning.
I'm gonna let y'all know something. His father was up here shaking on the what's his name? He was shaking on the
Thank everybody that played a part in it. My team, Roberto Diaz, Gary Jonas.
on my kids, he was shaking on this time. On my kids, he was shaking.
How you gonna say it's cap?
So now Lamont is left in the dust. What's next for him? That's the million-dollar question. Gervonta has made it clear. When you back out of a fight with him, there's no escaping the consequences. Lamont isn't just grappling with the fact that he didn't get to face Gervonta. He's also dealing with the fallout of his cancellation and the public perception that came with it. It's going to be tough for him to shake off the image of being the guy who backed out, especially while Gervonta keeps rising. Lamont will have to face the harsh reality of his decision, and it's not one that will be easily forgotten. As for Gervonta, he's just going to keep doing what he does best, dominate in the ring and in the media. If Lamont thought he could escape the wrath of Gervonta Davis, he clearly misjudged who he was dealing with. Gervonta is already onto bigger and better things, leaving Lamont with nothing but the bitter taste of regret. Let this be a lesson. When you cancel a fight with Gervonta Davis, you better be prepared for the consequences. There's no way out. Gervonta is always ready to remind you just how big a mistake you made.